So I would say Grandma has taught me and my family to put faith and family first, and kind of everything else just falls into place. And also that you can have as many chocolate chip cookies as you want at any time, because I just feel like that's how she is about life, just kind of a laid back, always smiling, happy person that will listen to anybody and anything.
I'm so happy that we're all here, especially to celebrate Great Grandma, because 4 years ago on Monday, my grandma passed away, my last grandma, and she was near and dear to my heart. So having 2 great grandmas here is just more than I can fathom, and like I said, I'm going to try not to cry. So Grandma Dickert, we love you so much, and just happy that all of this is because of you and the world you created, and love seeing you celebrate it. So
one of the memories that I have that sticks out is about a year ago, I believe it was. We went to your Reedsville farm, and it was really, really cool to see you back there again, and that was the first time I had ever been in the house, to kind of hear the memories and the laughter, and just seeing you in your element when you were there, and all of those memories come back to you, and how emotional and meaningful that was for you.
Her daughter and my son went together for very, very many years, and both of us mothers had a lot to say about their going together. And it was a very, very exciting day when finally my son was willing to pop the question, and Nancy said, yes. And all of the big wedding plans that Lorraine had to get ready for a wedding of like 600 people, was just very, very large and very wonderful. And to be a part of the family now for, I don't know how many years, but it's like 40. And so we've had many, many occasions to be together as grandmas, and as the inheritance of the wonderful love that's shared between both families, and the blessings that we've received through our grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
What did I learn from my mama? Oh, pretty much everything. How to be a mama and love my children unconditionally. From the heart, put them first over everything else. What else did I learn from my mama? I learned to serve others. She was the queen of taking care of people and serving others in so many ways. Thank you, Mama, for teaching me important Christian things.
Mom, I have looked up to you as I have seen you have hardships in life, and you have handled them with your faith, and you are an example to all. Thank you for that. And I feel very blessed to have you still in my life. I can't be crying doing this thing. Mad, what? Honestly.
I have several things. My mom has always taught me to be a servant to others and care for others. She taught me that my Lord and Savior should be number one. And also, I would say that my family should always come number two. Love you, Mom.
looking back through all the years that I've known you, I think it's been 40, let me think now here, 45 years. So it's been a while. All the different things that you have gone through in your life, and you know, the things where when Willard passed, and now that you have become, I would say, more mature in age rather than saying older. You've seen a lot of changes in your life. You know, some of the losses of your brothers and things like that are kind of sad, but at the same time, watching your family grow. How the Lord has blessed you. And that the good example that you're setting for your family. So He'll keep blessing you and your family. And I wish I had a cookie here to eat, because you make the best.
I'm just very thankful that you were able to, at 92, come to be with your family here this weekend. It means a lot to all of us that you still are a part of it, and that you are, I see, very content in where you're at in your life, and your faith is shining through. Love you, Mom.
Grandma Dickert, thank you for the memories, all the time we've spent together. What a beautiful experience it's been. I want to thank you for your daughter. She's been the love of my life, and a lot of times I see you reflected in her. Her conscientious, thoughtful, not so patient, helpful personality, just like her mom.
A fond memory I have with Grandma Dickert is just the fact that she's always been consistent. I always knew that when I would call, she would be there and always answer, and be able to be that person I could talk to about anything and everything. And I love the way that she is very unique in the language she uses, and it kind of brings me to a happy place with that. Her uses and her "you guys," those are the things that I just totally get excited about every time I hear, because it's a unique thing that fits in with this amazing grandma that she's been to me.
One thing I learned from you is that in ups and downs of a marriage, no matter how many times there are downs, you always have to just appreciate the time you have together, because some people don't get the amount of time that others do in their marriage. So that is one thing I learned as of recent.
One of my favorite Grandma Dickert memories was when she was still back on the farm, and we had a chance to go play up in her hayloft. And I remember being up there with my brother Dan and a handful of the other cousins, and I had just gotten for Christmas the most beautiful red shiny little Swiss Army knife, and it was about this big, and it was a special one because it wasn't the regular Swiss Army knife, it was the extended version that had both the toothpick and the tweezers, and I love that tweezers like there was no tomorrow. And so we're up in the hayloft, and I lost this thing, and I remember, I'm still 36 years old, I remember it like it was yesterday, and I was devastated because I lost my tweezers and I lost the little Swiss Army knife. And fast forward to last year, so what, I'm 30, I don't know, 35 or 36 or something like that, and and Grandma Dickert says, "Hey, I've been keeping something for you." And she walks out and she opens up the little palm of her hand, and there is my little red Swiss Army knife with both the tweezers and the toothpicks still left in it. So to this day, in the ice armor big jacket that I have for being outside in our cold Minnesota winters, I still keep that little tiny Swiss Army knife that was left over from childhood that Grandma Dickert actually remembered to keep.
So what I've learned from Grandma would be the importance of family, always showing love, and how to make the best special K-bars around.
What I've learned from Lorraine Dickert, my wonderful grandmother, how to be patient and cookie making, actually. I do have the recipe for those amazing chocolate chip cookies.
I learned from Grandma to always be kind and to have compassion. And I think one of the greatest traits that we can learn from, I think, a lot of people in our family has been the gift of contentment. And that is something that is mostly unattainable in our life, but I think through God's Word and through the people that He's placed in our lives, it's something that we can achieve. So being content is something that I've learned from Grandma.
Love you, Grandma.
Favorite memories got to be all of the time spent at Hardee's, Playland, in some town that I don't remember. She used to take us there. It was always fun. I also think more recently, one of my favorite memories, and maybe, I don't know, I stopped at Grandma's house and she told me that she thought she hit a deer, but she didn't know for sure. I'll just never forget that. Like, I think I hit a deer. There was no damage to the car. Maybe, I don't know. I think I hit a deer. Well, you should probably know that's a yes or no question, not a maybe I hit a deer. That was another favorite memory of mine that's a little bit more recent.
Yeah, Grandma, I've learned from you patience and kindness. That is something I saw throughout my life and have always seen in you.
What I learned from Grandma and Grandpa, for that matter, was when I was younger, going to the farm and seeing the pride in the routine. As I've developed in my career, most people don't know what I do, but my job can be very routine-based, oddly enough, and taking pride in that routine day in and day out and mastering that routine, such as a farmer, is definitely something that I think about now in kind of my midlife career, something that I saw early on at a young age and my grandparents on the farm.
One thing I've learned from Grandma is to not speed when Lexi's in the car, but every other time it's fine.
Whenever I think of Grandma Lorraine, I always think of some of the things that she likes to say that might be a Wisconsin thing that I may end up saying someday too. But my favorite one that she says is, and so. She says that after a lot of things. That's one of my favorite things she says. A favorite memory I have of her happened just not too long ago when she came to visit us at our new house. When I saw her pulling up with Nancy in the driveway, I knew it was something really special. And she spent the whole day with us and came all that way to see our house. And the whole time she was so complimentary of everything. And I just knew that it was a memory that I'd always remember about just how special that was to us and to Mike especially, to have his grandma visit him at his new house.
My favorite memory of Grandma is when Eric and I were dating for a short amount of time, maybe 3 months. She leaned over to me, put her hand on my leg, and she said, "You know I'm a twin," with a big smile on her face.
A fond and epic memory of Grandma would be her Reedsville apartment. And I don't really remember much about the Reedsville apartment or really anything that happened at the Reedsville apartment, but I do remember the saga of the staircase. I must have been of an age where it was dangerous for me, and it seemed dangerous for everybody, and it seemed like an epic, endless project.
I don't know, you look at the three sisters and they're all so nice. And I guess I see that and you learn from it.
When I was in college, I worked in the mailroom, and I remember always getting like the really colorful cards and putting them in people's mailboxes and seeing how excited that made people because they got a real letter from a parent or a grandparent. And I still get excited because Grandma Dickert always sends a colorful card for our birthdays. And she calls us and says, "I'm thinking about you on your birthday." And I just think that is such an important thing that you do. And I'm just so thankful that you have kept track of all of those birthdays, which is a lot of birthdays to keep track of. And you just make it so special for each one of us by writing a card or putting a $5 bill in there. Thank you.
Hi, this is an interview from Jim. I guess Jim says since he's vice president and has gone corporate, that corporate won't let him do interviews unless they're national. So he's just printed a few words for me to read. Hi, I'm Jim. You might know me because I used to be a Sears model. I want to thank Lorraine for saving her best daughter for me, because I used to be the quarterback of the football team, and Linda was a perfect fit for who I am. I also want to thank all the people, the little people, because I am tall. I want to thank all the little people for the appreciation they've showed for the whole family.
So we went to the mall, to JCPenney's, for Grandma to get her hair colored, and she was in the salon at JCPenney's, and then us kids were like sitting out in like the playroom. And all of a sudden she walks out and her hair was literally like jet black. And the first thing that we said to her was, "Grandma, you look like Elvis." And so she had jet black hair for a while. So that was always a memory that I'll always think about with Grandma.
Grandma, you should come to Minnesota more often.
My favorite recent memory was actually last night, seeing all of our kids and my sister's kids all in the pool and playing and visiting. And then also this morning, how can it not be the best day ever?
A fun memory of Grandma is, I don't remember if it was their 25th wedding anniversary, but I think so. And a surprise wedding anniversary party got planned for them. And all the neighbors came, all their friends came, and Grandma and Grandpa were still in the barn milking the cows. And she came up with her barn clothes on, and she was getting cleaned up and whatever, and cars just kept driving into the yard, like 30 or 40 cars showed up. And she was just rushing around saying, "Oh, I can't believe they're all here for my anniversary." It was like a huge surprise for Grandma, but she loved it.
I know my mom gave her a prayer book, and it was a wonderful thing to see the example she set and how used the book was, and these little devotionals that she would read in that book over and over again, to the point where I know like 15 years later, my mom gave her another book, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this one's been so wonderful you gave me 15 years ago." And she'd read it every day for 15 years. And what a great example, right? That we don't need a lot. We just need the love of God, and we need to have an understanding of what that love means for us in our life.
I always remember all the little things, as far as like the times we've shared the frosting cookies, even the canning experiences, how many times you would come over and we'd try the pickles or the applesauce, and those are things I'll never forget. Thank you for that.
Favorite memory, when I was dating your daughter, there was a time when I drove this old $25 car, and I was gonna pick up Nancy, and we're going to Michigan. And Willard pulled me aside after he talked to you, and Willard said, "Mark, why don't you take our car? All we have to do is go to church on Sunday." And I thought, oh, that'll be fine. So then I went to Michigan, came back the next day with Nancy, and Willard pulled me aside again and said, "Mark, I have to apologize. On the way to church, I had a flat tire, so I bought you a brand new tire and I put it on the car." And I said, "Well, thank you very much." But I was thinking, what about the other three?
Favorite Grandma story would be, it has always been grade school from Trinity in Kiel. She'd pick us up, and she would take us to Dairy Queen, and then it would always end with the same thing: "Don't tell your mom. Don't tell your mom that we were going to Dairy Queen." So those are things I always love to think back to, and even now, even when the cookies still come, I cherish all those times and memories.
It's all the small things. You just watch Grandma just sit and take it all in. It's so cool to watch. The other thing that I think I learned from Grandma too is kind of that silence, that if you spend enough time in silence, when you talk, everybody listens. And that's the truth. When she talks, everybody listens. She always has an audience. So,
My favorite grandma memory throughout my life would have to be when I lived with Grandma in Reedsville. Mom and Dad were building an addition on the mill home where we'd eventually finish growing up. And it was awesome. Grandma had warm cooked meals for us every morning just for breakfast. Supper was always there. Just always went the extra mile for my older brother Phil and I.
My sister is named after my grandma, Sophia Lorraine Vandermause.
A love and a patience for family. Grandma has shown and continues to exhibit a love and a patience for family that is a shining example for everybody in the family.
My favorite grandma memory is her chocolate chip cookies.
Something I've learned from Grandma Dickert that's a little bit silly is to keep in contact by calling on the telephone. A lot of times now we just text or do something on Facebook, but she helps me to remember how important it is to keep in touch with phone calls, and I can always tell it means a lot to her when we call her on the phone.
It's called a couch, not a Davenport. He'll be so funny.
I have two favorite memories of Grandma. One has been just seeing like her interaction with Everly has been amazing to just see her face light up whenever she sees Everly, and Everly does the same thing. And my other has been when I am able to go visit her on Tuesdays with my mom. We always go to Dairy Queen, and she gets her chicken sandwich with fries and then a caramel sundae. And she has made it known that she likes her fries hot. So if we get it to go, she needs to eat the fries before we get home because she likes them very hot. And then the sundae was the hit. Usually she wouldn't have enough room for the chicken sandwich, but the sundae was always her go-to.
Grandma had the '89 LeSabre, the gray one, and I was driving and I was speeding, and she told me to stop, basically, because she picked up on that I was going well over the speed limit. Because normally Grandma, is very quiet and patient, so that's my favorite memory, getting scolded by Grandma.
Also, a favorite memory that I have is every time I go to Madison when you are there and you just sit in your reclining chair and I sit on the couch and we just have some good conversations.
My impression of Grandma Dickert. Well, I don't know.
I think let's go to McDonald's today, because the fish is so fresh.
Which grandma? Oh.
Hey, all of you kids, you should get some cookies and go eat them on the Davenport.
All right, so the Boobolts, the Bankies, and the Fishers were coming from Reedsville down Highway 10, and as they made their way into Reedsville, everyone was going to the A&W to get a root beer. And then, they went over to the farm, and gosh darn it, we got to go milk the cows.
So this one's more of probably an impression from when I was little of Grandma. Usually one of the kids getting in a mild amount of trouble. You dasn't do that. You dasn't. Dasn't, I don't even know if that's a word, but she used it frequently. Dasn't do that. You dasn't.
This is my impression of Grandma. She's like, you boys, you dasn't do that. Go over and fetch my slippers over on the Davenport.
Bentley, get down from me. Stay down.
What I can think of is her saying, oh, that's so nice. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. That's so nice. That's so nice. That's so nice.
Aw, you kids.
Grandma Dickert, we love you.
guys, I want you to listen up. We're going to go around and do something here, but I want to tell you a few things first. The two songs have been going through my head. One, we're going to sing I'm But a Stranger Here, and the other one is Abide With Me. And the Abide With Me one, we're not going to sing that, but the way it kind of goes is, abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. And the song is kind of like when Jesus was at Galilee and his friends fell asleep and they weren't with him. But when people sing it a lot of times, they feel alone, like God, will you be here with me, abide with me during my life? And the point I want to make is, I feel like I know a little bit about heaven because God has abided with me and with you guys through a couple people that are here. Lorraine and my mom, the two golden girls, have been at every important event in my life, and they have abided with me. But the second song, I'm But a Stranger Here, this isn't our heaven. This is just a little bit of time that we have here before we spend eternity in heaven. And so I want to create a little bit of a memory for all of us here by thinking about what does our heaven look like and what do we have to look forward to. These two golden girls will probably get there before the rest of us. And I think we can remember kind of some of the things they said and things that other people said about this place we're going to spend eternity in. And that's going to be our home. You know, this is just an abiding place. And it's been so wonderful because you have abided with us through all these memories. But it's a place that we're going to be till we take the next step to our real home. So I'm going to hand the mic around, and I'm going to have a few people, whoever wants to do this, kind of describe what their heaven looks like. What is your heaven like? Oh, well, no, it's for recording this. So for me, the memory of what heaven was like came from my father. And it wasn't about golden streets, but it was about sitting down with some really cool people and asking questions about things you didn't understand. Elijah, and I maybe do a little sword fighting with David, you know, and learn the specialties. But my heaven's going to be a place where there'll be family. And so today is a little touch of what heaven is like in my mind because we're all together. But anybody else want to say what their heaven is like? And Trudy and Lorraine, you get to go last. So you have to describe what this place is you're looking forward to going. Who wants to start here? Sure. All right. And this is just for recording purposes. You have to speak so people can.
Okay. So for me, my heaven would be reunited with my entire family.
All right. Anybody else? What's your heaven like? What would heaven be like? Do any of you guys have an idea? What is... Okay, you ready? Now you have to say it loud enough so that we can hear.
Heaven is wonderful, and there won't be no pain, and I'm just waiting for that day to come, because it's a wonderful place to be. I'll be with Jesus and with God. I'm waiting for that. Heaven is my home.
Other people?
I think the only thing that can maybe describe heaven on earth is having a baby. It's that day that you have that baby and you see that face, and there's just so much joy. And everybody that meets that baby for the first time has so much joy. So it's like when you first get to heaven, you're like the new baby, sort of.
The new baby in heaven. Anybody else? Come on.
So the way I picture heaven, because you know our heaven is basically finally getting to be face to face with my best friend. You know, ultimately this is all we all have individual relationships with God, and now I finally would get to meet him.
What's heaven like?
Jesus.
Jesus is heaven. All right.
That's a good one. Jesus is heaven. I think that it's very hard to describe because none of us really know, but I look forward to seeing our Lord and Savior, but also look forward to seeing all the people that have gone before me that mean a lot to me.
That's a big question, but it's a wonderful question because when I hear the little children crying or screaming or something, I think of them in heaven, and that will be sweetness to my ears. And all of the things that are very terrifying to me here on earth will be solved, and the Lord will take all those burdens and turn them into joys.
Well, I like to listen to music a lot, and one of the artists was, I believe the band is called Mercy Me, and they have a song called I Can Only Imagine. You know, I think with the humility, that we should all have, that that someday we'll meet all of our family and our friends is truly a gift from God. Oh, okay.
The masses, that's what's going to be cool to me. I don't think everybody understands like how many amazing people came before us. Just to see all of those people gathered together. We have no idea what heaven's going to be like, but there's going to be a heck of a lot of people. And that to me is going to be the fun thing. All these people I never met. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Good. Anybody else? You have one over there. All right. Now listen up here. What is he going to say?
Dookie died and he had a lot of pain and he was coughing a lot. So I wish he was just staying alive. He's happy in heaven.
All right, that was just a joy to hear all that. I think in my heaven there's going to be a lot of laughter too. I suspect when Missy and Greg Vandermause family get there, they'll come in and all their heads will be cut off. And Missy will say, I guess I cut off all the heads one too many times on pictures and now God made us that way. Anyway, we're going to sing the song that Nancy handed out. And Nancy, are you going to start us with? Hold up, oh, do you want? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it away too early.
I guess I just wanted to add that it was since we have owned an assisted living that we came to see death in a lot different way. When you're younger, you don't think of it, and I've seen such strength in their deaths of being ready to go, like I see Mom, and just accepting that it was the next step in their life and that they would be in all God's glory.
So thank you for you two ladies for abiding with us and showing us a little piece of heaven. And we look forward to joining you as you make the journey first, and we'll follow.
Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so.
Can we sing it one more time?
Let's do
it.
We only know one verse.
That's good. We're done? Yeah. Okay. Ella, do you?